All right, welcome back, everyone. We are back to yet another part of this multi-part series of building an Electron app for your resume. In this video, we are going to set up the Redux DevTools in our Redux state, just like we did in our last Redux video, except in this video, we'll probably do it slightly different, um, just for ease of, this app is going to be built and businesses technically can look at it since it's going to hopefully go on your resume. We're going to build things just slightly different. Um, but overall, same principles still apply. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So let's go back to this objects file. Let's create our state, or yeah, let's call it state.ts. And let's just do a class called state. We'll export this class. Inside of our file, we're going to add in a couple other things. We're going to export the class of user state. So in this video, we're doing or in this one, we're going to be doing a multi-part state instead of a single state. So our state's going to have two different sub-state slices underneath of it, instead of just the all-encompassing state, which had all of our other variables in it. And then we are going to navigation state, since we are going to be able to have multiple pages that we will be visiting. All right, so from here, let's go ahead and export enum pages. Let's just do login equals login and home equals home. Inside of our navigation state, we're going to say current page. And we are going to make the subtype pages. User state, we are going to do token string, and that's it for right now. Inside of our state, we are going to create user, and we'll type this as user state, and navigation state. We're going to build a constructor here. It's not going to have any props, and then we're just going to say this dot user equals a new user state. This dot navigation equals a new navigation state. See, all right. So now that that's finished, let's go ahead and let's create a couple of interfaces here. Let's make one called user.ts and export interface user. And what we want to do with the user, we're going to have an email, be a string, have a username, that'll be a string, and a password. Oh, actually, we won't store a password. Okay. And that should be good there. Let's go back to our state file. We're going to go to a user state. We're going to say current user, user. Hopefully, we can just do interfaces. Or actually, interfaces as well. We need to create another file called index.ts and export all from /u. Okay. And then we should just be able to do interfaces here. All right, so that will create our user and everything else. Let's do actions. Do actions. We'll do user.ts and import. I'm trying to speed run through some of this. Create an asynchronous thunk. This is something that I don't think we didn't touch on the last video, or asynchronous thunks. Asynchronous thunks basically they return promises. And what you can do is you can do asynchronous actions with these, where say you need to connect to an API, you send a request, you wait for that request to come back, and then it'll have like a fulfilled status. So it'll have like a pending, a failed, or a fulfilled status based on what the return of the promise is, whether a promise resolved with an object or if it was rejected. Will determine the outcome of that. So we are going to be creating a couple different actions here. Let's do one export constant login user async equals create an asynchronous thunk. And our asynchronous thunk is going to take two parameters. It's going to take a action type and it's going to take an asynchronous callback. So we're just going to do login underscore user, and then we're going to do async, and that's our asynchronous thunk. So let's go back to our interfaces, go to user, export interface, I login user, payload, and let's just do a username of type string and a password of type string. All right, so let's do payload, I login user payload. Get rid of that because it's not registering my imports for some reason. And this is kind of like an interesting part because we don't have the request stuff filled yet, or done, so we're gonna have to just leave this blank for right now, and then we'll come back to it later. So once we log in the user, it's probably fine. Let's go ahead and create our reducer file for our user. We'll just name this user.ts as well. Import create reducer, reducer, hold on, action reducer builder. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Then we need to import the user state from object state, data object state, and let's do constant default state, user state equals, we give it a token of an empty string, we give it a current user of undefined, and then we do a constant handle user handle login user async state. We get a user state. We get an action. We need to import a payload action. Payload action of type I. So let's create another interface under here. We're gonna do a export interface I API user, and that's gonna respond with a token of type string and a user of type I user. That's going to do that. I API user. And let's just do that, and then we'll change this import to actually match. And remember in the last video for Redux, if you didn't watch that one, we need to do action.payload, return state. Then we need to return update. We need to import update from immutability helper. You don't necessarily have to do this either. If you don't want to use immutability helper, you can just do return and then an object state, and then just do like current user or something like that. You could do it like that as well if you want to, but we're just going to use immutability helper since it's 10 times easier. Current user. Let's go ahead and extract certain things. So user token equals action dot payload, current user $set to user, and token $set token. Okay, so that's going to handle our login user async. Let's go ahead and we'll build our reducer builder equals builder colon action reducer map builder user state, and then we are going to say builder add case. Now we're going to need to import our action from this file, so let's go ahead and import login user async from data actions user, and let's do login user async dot Since this is our asynchronous thunk, we only want this to fire once this is fulfilled, and then we do a handle login user async. Okay. For our action for our thunk, problem here. That should fix that until we get this set up. So just go ahead and do this until we get that set up. That's not at all right or how you should do this, but this is entirely just to reduce the error until we get the actual networking layer done and can query our API. Let's go ahead and export default, create reducer. We'll pass in as the first parameter the default state, and then we pass in the reducer builder as the second parameter. And there we go. So that's creating our user reducer. Now we're going to go ahead and do all of this again, except we're going to do it for navigation. Let's go ahead and do navigation.ts. And if you want to, you can just copy, stuff from the other file into this one. Import, but inside this one, we are going to import pages from data object state instead. And export constant set. Actually, we don't want create async thunk, we want create action here since we're not creating an async action. So we're going to say set current page equals create action. We're going to type this as pages. And then we are going to do set underscore current page. You can also do set active page, which probably is better, just naming convention wise. So let's just do set active page. All right. So now we're going to do the exact same thing with the reducers. Add one called navigation.ts. Import the same things we did in the last one. We're not going to import user state though. We're going to import navigation state from data objects state. And update from mutability helper. We'll create a default state like we did last time. Navigation state equals this. We want to say current page colon pages dot have to import that data object state pages dot login. Since we want to default to the login state to force people to log in first rather than being able to go to the home page. We just want to set the current login. All right. So let's do constant set current page state, navigation state, action, payload action, pages, and from here, if state or if action dot payload is null, then we just want to return our state. Another thing while we do this, or while I'm doing this, you don't always want to check to see if action.payload is null, especially if your payload action is of type Boolean, because then you can run into issues where if you have a false Boolean, that'll still return state. So if you do have a Boolean as a type here, then you just want to get rid of this. You don't really want to do anything with that, because then it can do false positives returning state, and then your state will never update. Current page, we want to set that to action payload. All right. Constant reducer builder equals builder. Action reducer map builder. Of pages. Let's do builder. Add case. And then this is where we need to do set current page. Cool. Set current. Am I not exporting this? Set active. Oh, that's why. That should be set current page. My bad. Actually, no, it shouldn't. Yeah. No, we want set active page here. Set active page dot type. Why are you not in? Go. Dot type. And then now we want to do handle set active page. There we go. Oh, yeah, that can't be that way. I see. I typed this wrong. Navigation state, and this guy should be able to do that type, yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that was my bad. I had part up. Alright, so I just typed this to pages instead of navigation state, so go ahead and swap that um, from pages to navigation state. It's just a mistype on my part. Now let's go ahead and export the default create reducer, pass in default state and reducer builder into there. Alright, cool. Let's go ahead and close these out. We'll go into objects. We'll create a folder called store.ts where we will create our store. We'll import configure store. From Redux.js toolkit. Import user reducer from data slash reducers slash user. Import navigation reducer. We'll just call nav reducer. Data slash reducers slash navigation. And let's do constant reducer map equals user reducer navigation nav reducer. So something you need to make sure with this reducer map is that this user and this navigation align with exactly how your state's structured. So see how we have user, navigation, and state. We need to make sure that this is navigation, user, and our reducer map, yeah? So, because that will greatly change how your state slices are aligned, as well as how your selector works. So you need to make sure that this is typed the exact same. Everything's spelled the same. So if you want to copy paste, go for it. That's totally fine. But yeah, let's do export constant store equals configure store. And let's do reducer map. So that's going to create our store. We're not using any middleware. This is just a basic project, so we're just going to completely skip the middleware step. And let's go back to components, or actually no, we want to go to main, and let's go ahead and import provider from React Redux. Let's import our store from data object store. And remember where app is, we are going to get rid of that. Type in provider store equals store. And let's do app. Perfect. All right, so now if we do npm run dev, we should, if tsconfig paths decides to work, does not want to work. Okay. Oh wait. I think I completely skipped over a step earlier. Yeah, let's import beat ts, or we'll just call it tsconfig paths from vtech tsconfig paths, and as a plugin we need to add in the tsconfig paths plugin. Just trying to fix tabs because I don't like it when my tabs aren't the way they need to be. Okay, that should fix that now. There we go. All right, now if we go to Redux, I might have to close state. Okay, we're good. All right, so now we have the user token current page as our state. So now Redux is completely set up. That's going to do it for this episode. I really appreciate you guys for watching and sticking with the series. Remember, once everything's done, you're going to have a fully built and packaged exe file that you can give to an employer, or an employer can get from your GitHub and check out. this very simple Electron app that you've built that also features an API with a login system. So remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more content, and I will catch you all in the next one.